Practice. This is where you're going to need that ruler. There's two ways to go about grid drawing. Some of you are going to find one way easier than the other, and sometimes it depends what kind of shape. These are all squares. Because squares are the easiest to grid, we don't have to worry about if it's proportional. Proportional means that, like if I took this piece of paper here and this one here, and I'm looking at those rectangles, they're not proportional to each other. The ratio of the width to the height is different for each one of these. So these two are not proportional. Squares are always proportional as long as they're square. So the first thing that you can do, I mean, if it is a perfect measurement, you could measure and then divide it in half. Well, this isn't. This is, well, it looks like it's about 1.5 inches. So if I could do the math in my head or on my phone, I would find out that half of 1.5 is 0.75. The numbers get tedious. Doesn't mean I'm not going to use my ruler. I'm just not going to use it to measure right now. So you could measure if it's a nice, easy number. The other thing, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of estimate. So I'm going to estimate where halfway is. And I'm going to divide, because this is called grid drawing, I'm going to divide it in half up and down. And then I'm going to estimate where halfway is this way. Then I'm going to estimate again. I'm going to divide in half again. I like to just do in half. It's usually, now it's in quarters. This is usually, pretty easy for people to kind of estimate where halfway is. So if I'm going to make a grid into the box where I'm going to be doing my drawing, I have to draw a grid on top of my original drawing. So I would do the same thing, find halfway, halfway, halfway. You can kind of see maybe the faint lines there from it was already gridded. So that's one way to do a grid. But that does involve a lot of kind of estimating of half. Here is the no math version, like the not even estimating halfway. What you would do is you're going to use a giant X. So the other way I can make a grid is if I know these are proportional, and this is a square and this is a square, so they're proportional, I'm going to make an X from one side, one corner to the other corner. This is not going to be enough to break down this image for me, so I do a big X. Then I do a vertical line through the middle, up and down. And then I do a horizontal line. Okay, so that breaks us down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm not done yet, though. So sometimes that is enough for a drawing. Sometimes that is going to give us enough what I'm going to call contact points. But for this, I don't think so. So the last set of lines I'm going to do are more diagonal lines. And I'm connecting the top of my plus sign there to the corner. All right, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 16. I have 16 squares. I have 16, not squares, sorry. Triangles. I have 16 squares here. And then, of course, I would want to do the same thing to the image I am copying. So I go cross, make an X, then make a plus, and then... So this is probably the easiest way without having to estimate because you're just connecting points. All right, now what do? Is I am going to look at this box by box or triangle by triangle. So that means if I am here, I am only looking at that box right there. And I'm going to find the corresponding box. And I am going to draw the curve of that shape in its exact spot. So what I like to do is look for contact points. So the line touches the edge of that grid box here and here. If I think about how far across that is about halfway. And then, so I make a little mark on my box that I'm copying into, and then I make another little mark. So it's gonna start here, it's gonna end here. What is it gonna do in between? It is going to curve. How much is it gonna curve? I'm observing that one above. So once I have that done, then I'm gonna go to the next box. So it really, if you have Post-it notes, this is something I like to do, is like I will cover up everything that I'm not looking at. So this is really similar to the activity we just did, where you're looking at part of it at one time. So here, I'm gonna draw that line going through. One thing I wanna think about is positive and negative space. So like I could think of this as positive and that as negative, but I want to look at those as spaces or shapes. So what does that look like compared to that? So over here, the same thing would happen. So I would cover up, let's go up here to this triangle. So this triangle right here, what is happening in that triangle? So I'm breaking it down into a small part. I'm only drawing what I can memorize. So this is this thing that I am looking at. Actually it's here, here it is. No. So where does it start? It starts up here. Where does it end? It ends somewhere down here. How does it curve? It curves something like that. And now I'm kind of looking, if I look at this space right here and shade it in to make some kind of weird, whatever that is, and then I shade this one in, they should be the same. And what I'm noticing is that this one's wider, so I need to move this line. So any of your lines that you use or guides or shading, feel free to keep them because they're gonna be helping you figure out where things are. Draw lightly until you know you've got it right, and then you can darken your lines. But keep your grid lines there just so I know that you used them.